Next, this selection choice concerns rechargeable batteries. Press the plus touchpad to turn on the word rechargeable. Press minus to return your gauge to measuring standard batteries. Whether you're using NiCads or regular batteries, you will see that the GTI reports continually on the condition of your batteries. 5 squares are shown when your batteries are fully charged. When only 1 square remains, batteries should be changed. Let's learn how to change them. They can be found under the armrest, which slips back easily. Then, slide up the 2 battery case covers and tilt the detector to slide out the 2 battery containers. Next, change the 8 AA batteries, making certain that the new cells are aligned properly. And finally, put the holders back in the battery pack with the circles toward the center. Slide the doors on and slip the battery case back into position. The next search aid, backlight, will turn on automatically whenever the unit is in the menu mode. The backlight will turn itself off when you press Operate unless you have activated the function by pressing the plus pad to turn it on. The control panel of your GTI is now lighted so you can use it at night or in dark places. Press minus to turn off the function and blink again. To maximize battery life, it is recommended that the backlight is turned off whenever it is not needed. Now, here's a tip you should always remember. You can instantly restore factory settings on all controls by holding the power touchpad for about 5 seconds until you hear 2 beeps. And now you know how the amazing GTI2500 can be regulated to suit the style of any treasure hunter. But here's a tip from Charles Garrett. Leave it in the coins mode with factory settings unless you really have a reason for changing any of these settings. And one of the most important of these reasons would concern detection modes. When we turned on the power, the 2500 was operating in a discriminate coins mode. You can easily select the discriminate 0 mode or any of the others. And there's another important control on this detector that makes it quite easy for you to hunt in 2 separate discriminate modes, almost at the same time. You can instantly switch from one mode to the other with this last mode touchpad. You can see that the detector is now operating in the discriminate 0 mode. But just by pressing the last mode touchpad, we're hunting in the coins mode again. The ability to change between any 2 discriminate modes so easily gives us the opportunity to check all of our targets quickly and simply by switching between modes. Or we can have a 3-mode detector by switching to the deep-seeking all-metal mode, which we will learn about in a minute. You should also remember that whenever you turn off your detector and turn it back on, it will begin hunting in the same mode you had been using last. The feature of backlight will function by pressing this touchpad. The control panel of your GTI is now lighted, so you can use it at night or in dark places. To maximize battery life, it is recommended that the backlight is turned off whenever it is not needed. Now, let's learn how discrimination segments can combine with imaging to open the door for you to a kind of hunting you've only dreamed of before. When you turn on your detector in the discriminate coins mode, discrimination has been preset at the factory. You're ready to hunt for coins, and the detector will report on targets whose conductivity is represented by the darkened segments on the lower scale. You can see that a target is indicated by a cursor on the upper scale. But is it really a coin? How many times have you found trash like this with conductivity that somehow locates it here on the upper scale? Well, it would be right in the middle of the discrimination control of this old-style detector. To dial out such a trash target, you'd have to set discrimination on the old detector so high that you would miss many valuable coins or pieces of jewelry. Not with a GTI. You can adjust your detector to reject this particular target, yet not reject targets with even slightly more or less conductivity. There are two ways to do this. The simplest is to pass the offending target across your search coil. See the detection cursor appear on the upper scale? Now, press the Accept Reject touchpad, and the segment disappears on the lower scale. This means that you won't find any more targets with that level of conductivity. If you want to accept a particular target for which the segment is not shown, follow the same rules. When you pass the target over your search coil, you can see the target cursor appear on the upper scale. Press Accept Reject to make the segment appear on the lower scale. This ensures that your GTI will detect targets of this conductivity. The second way to change discrimination segments is to use the plus and minus touchpads to move the cursor across the upper scale. When it is positioned above the appropriate segment, use the Accept Reject touchpad to add that segment. See? The lower scale segment appears. Or, press the same pad when the segment is showing to make certain your detector eliminates a target with that level of conductivity. Now, we've done all this while operating in the Discriminate Coins mode. But we can make similar modifications in any of the other 4 discriminate modes. Whenever we change one of these factory detection modes, any modifications that we made for a current hunting session will disappear when the detector is turned off. The GTI offers a custom mode, however, especially designed to be set by the user. In this mode, you can use the Accept Reject touchpads, as we have discussed, to design discrimination to your own specifications, and the detector will retain your settings even after you turn it off and turn it on again. Now, you may never want to use these modes or these methods of discrimination, but they will always be ready for you. And who knows, someday you may be looking for a lost earring to match this one. You know that it's lost somewhere nearby, so just set your GTI to accept only this piece of jewelry, and it will reject all other metal targets while locating the lost earring. Or you may be hunting in an area where you are plagued with just one special type of trash. Reject it, and continue to hunt in the Discriminate Zero mode for every other metallic target. Let's learn more about imaging. We found something, and the target ID guide says it could be a coin, a screw top, maybe a large can, or even a cache. Let's press the imaging touchpad and learn that it's a B-size target, which means it's most likely a coin or a small ring. What kind of coin? The target ID says a dime. Let's dig it up and see. What do you know? A silver dime. That's what Treasure Vision is all about, helping you identify what you found before you dig. The GTI has 5 size ranges: A, B, C, D, and E. A indicates a target smaller than a coin. B is coin size. C is larger than a coin. D represents a 12-ounce can, and E is an object larger than a can. Let's examine some targets. Here's a soft drink can. Let's see what imaging says about this. It's a D-size target on the imaging grid, and that means probably a can, which we know that it was. How about this screw top? It's a C-size target. And from where it's located on the upper scale in relation to the target ID guide, we can determine that it's a screw top. Just one more, the ever-present pull tab. Treasure Vision tells us it's another size C. and its location on the scale shows it as probably a pull tab. I hope you don't find too many of these. But we urge you to experiment with the imaging function of your GTI. You'll be amazed at what it can tell you if you just stop, listen, and look. And above all, think. Now, let's close this instruction video with a few words about the detector's true all-metal mode. You'll always want to use this mode when maximum depth is sought, when looking for caches or deep relics. You'll also look for gold in the deep-seeking all-metal mode. Your options for depth, threshold, tone, volume, and frequency will be set just as you set them for the discriminate modes. And the battery gauge will continue to report on either standard or rechargeable batteries as you instruct. It is ground balance that has always offered the major challenge to anyone hunting in a deep-seeking all-metal mode, setting up the detector to ignore ground minerals. And no matter how well you regulate your detector, you can hit a patch of highly mineralized soil, like this spot on our Garret test grounds. With the GTI, however, ground balancing is now oh so easy. Just hold down the all-metal pad and bounce the search coil from 2 to 8 inches above the ground. You'll notice that the touchpad also says Fast Track. Well, that's the name of Garret's exclusive method of instantaneous ground balance. And when we continue searching in the deep-seeking all-metal mode, a special detector circuit we call Auto Track will operate to keep the detector properly ground balanced at all times. Except when we get really mineralized soil like we're finding now in the Garret test area. But your GTI has a solution for this too. We scroll to Manual Ground Balance. Let's now learn how to use it. Raise and lower the search coil. Since the sounds are growing softer, just press the plus touchpad and raise and lower the search coil again. Sounds like we went too far. So let's press the minus pad until the sound returns to the proper threshold level. And we can continue searching. Let me emphasize that the Fast Track and Ground Track automatic circuitry will almost always provide all the ground balancing your GTI ever needs. Use manual ground balancing only when you have the experience to be certain that it is required. Here's a trick that sounds like magic, using discrimination in the all-metal mode. You've just detected a target, so let's press Imaging and examine it more closely by matching our grid against the target ID guide. C-sized. And from where it's located on the upper scale in relation to the target ID guide, we can determine that it's a screw-top. You see, we let the imaging grid and the GTA scales discriminate for us. There you have it, a brief but complete introduction to the Garret GTI2500, a truly marvelous metal detector.